starting with the magic circle? Is it about the size of this carpet?
It can be any size based on how many people you're working with, but this would suffice. It really depends on the amount of room that you have. There are classical ideas about how large it should be, but in practice, it really depends on the area that you're working in.
Now, I assume that when you're inviting a deity, that's a very difficult process that you probably have to earn.
Yeah.
Right? And it perhaps would take years to reach that point.
Yeah.
So you said that these circles are used to call higher spirits.
You normally use them for working with like a range of spirits, whether they're positive or whether they're hostile. It's the same thing. You're creating a clean space within which you can work, where you know that the energies are balanced and where you have a clear idea that where you are and where the spirit is, to prevent the spirit causing problems for you.
But what's the purpose of calling them?
What's the purpose of calling them? Well, there are a range of things. Generally, you're tasking them to carry out something for you that you can't do. So whether that's bringing you intelligence, whether that's performing a task, whether that's fetching you something, the whole range of like magical possibilities.
Understood. And you have to be sure that the spirit you're calling is genuinely benevolent.
You have to be sure. It doesn't have to be benevolent, but you have to be sure that it is who you're talking to. It's not just a random smaller spirit that's impersonating that spirit.
Do you have names of particular spirits in mind when you're calling them?
Yes. Yeah.
So are these people that have existed?
So we work with a range of spirit catalogues in the West that are called grimoires. A grimoire comes from the word grammar, and these are books that contain lists of spirits and the symbol of the spirit, and also the magician's kind of loose notes about what these spirits are able to accomplish, what they're able to do, their possibilities.
Can you give some examples of those tasks?
Okay, so those tasks can be anything from bring me a book, to get me a job, to find me a lover, to show me where something is which is hidden, a whole range of possibilities.
And they're always able to perform those tasks?
Generally, they're able to perform the tasks. If they're not, then you go back and you reassess what went wrong. Are you not able to do this? Do you not have the power to do this? Does the spirit not have the ability to do this? You go back and through and check these things. It's almost a scientific method.
Okay. And again, you learned this through books and people.
And this is something that you learn through books and people.
It's been 30 years that you've been a practitioner,
Yep.
right? Okay. And you're fairly confident in this process at this point.
Yeah, I'm confident in my processes.
Are you comfortable with me asking you how often you engage in this every year?
How often I engage in this? So I'll perform, so I'm doing a series of rituals every day. So I'll do a small ritual in the morning. I'll do banishing ritual and work with deities in the evening. I'll do my meditation. I'll do a range of spiritual practices, a major evocation, a major summoning of a spirit. For me, I tend to work maybe every 3 months. I'll do a major spirit work.
For the sake of some purpose?
For the sake of a purpose, yeah.
Is the purpose material?
Sometimes it can be material, yeah.
Okay.
There's no moral understanding that asking for something material is bad. That's not on a hierarchy.
Okay. Are there celebrities and people who are materially extremely successful who've used these methods to gain material progress?
I think it's very difficult to tell. I think very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Very unlikely.
Why very unlikely? It's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's time consuming. It's a set of particular specialist skills. Do I think that people are achieving things because of spirits? Yes, I think that happens. But I think it's more informal rather than formal ritual work that gets those results for people.
So you're one of the few people in the world who knows how to do this in an experienced manner.
In my experience and my understanding of magicians located around the world, there are very few individuals who are doing this. Very few individuals. There are only ever very few individuals who do this level of work.
What is the trade-off here?
It's dangerous. There are risks. There are risks to your health. There are risks to your sanity. There are risks to your reputation socially. There are risks to your spiritual development. It's very easy to be pulled off center when you're doing this kind of work, particularly as most of the magical work that's going on in the West is being done by individuals or small groups. This isn't being done necessarily in a community in a larger setting. So the people who are drawn to this kind of work are not always balanced individuals. Some of these individuals are crisis individuals. Some of them will end up having mental health issues. Some of them will end up with drug addiction. Some of them end up with like a whole range of problems. Psychosis, certainly.
Pardon me for overly simplifying this, but this seems like the beginning of a potential horror movie for people who don't know how to do the ritual correctly.
Yes, it certainly can be.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly what we see in horror movies can happen if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. I think there are genuine risks for performing these kinds of spiritual operations.
But will that process of negative outcomes happen because of the spirit being upset with how you've done the process or just being malevolent?
On one level, we're food. Like the way that we react, as you see with like a horror movie as an example, is that many of these entities respond to human emotions, and fear is a very strong emotion. And you'll know that certain spirits will try to provoke a fear reaction in people in order to feed on that energy. And so it's easy for people to end up in a parasitic relationship where the entity is taking something from them without the terms being negotiated effectively and from a position of strength.
But how will it try to scare you?
How will it try to scare you? Any number of ways. Simply appearing. Simply like the presence of a spirit is something that people are so unaccustomed to. They're so not used to seeing. The idea that there are entities out there which are beyond them, which are not within human bodies, that can move through things, that can speak through things, that can cause problems and misfortunes. These aren't ideas that are common in the West. People have forgotten a lot of this. They've forgotten that they live in a world filled with spirits. And when they become aware of that, it can be a frightening place.
Exactly like a horror movie.
Yes, it can be exactly like a horror movie.
It'll create incidents at home.
Yeah. Okay. Misfortunes, small accidents, things breaking.
Can it cause physical harm?
It can cause physical harm through other means, yes. Like directly actual accidents is a good example. Directly intervening, no, but those accidents happen.
But can these entities scratch you or something small like that?
I've not been scratched by an entity, but I know that gets recorded.
Okay. Has an entity ever gotten upset with you?
Not particularly upset with me, no. I'm very careful and martially minded about what I do. I don't like to leave anything that may be an opening. And I do my divination before I do work. I'm very clear about what I'm going to do. And I go in, I perform the work, and I get out, and I close, and I make sure that everything is as clear as possible. But you can't prevent everything. You know, I've been chased out of the woods at night by spirits. You know, I've had, you know, we all end up with a few bumps and bruises along the way.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip from the Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel because there's something for everyone.